Now, I'm going to ask you, who are the players on these teams that you're really looking forward to?
I can't believe you've done this to me. Wait, which one was the one that I played Apex Legends with back in the day? Because that's what Kami, yeah, I love that guy. He's going to be really good. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him play. Because if he's anything like Apex Legends, they're probably going to lose this game. So hopefully he's not. Hopefully he'll be.
Why is that? Because he was yelling the entire time and saying, you know, world record run?
I just remember every time I played Apex Legends with you guys, we just never.
What do you mean? We won like every second game or even more.
I don't recall that.
I think you were the bad one, and we were trying to carry you so hard, and it just never worked out half the time.
I'm an Apex Legends god. By the way, I don't know if you can see chat, but they're all asking if we're ready to go. So.
Oh yeah, we're
should
ready.
I tell them yes?
Yeah,
yes, we are ready to go whenever.
Yeah.
Says Yummy.
They should
can I
know.
say that?
Like I tell them in the past, like when I join, they can go. You know, so easy. Well, we get to go into this one. We'll turn off the music and get ready for Elfish Guy. I want you to take this away, play by play style.
Why are you doing this to me, Yummy? All right, we're into game number 1 here. It's between Renegades and Mindfreak, and looking forward to seeing how this one pans out, Yummy, because obviously a fair bit on the line, a potential first place in the regular season for Renegades if they win with a fairly comprehensive victory today.
And us experts would know, you know, the player we want to watch on Mindfreak is Fever. They really rely on him, but he's very consistent at the same time. Caveman Ben, he's had some pop-off performances recently. He could be the one that really steps up here for Mindfreak to get that win.
Should be indeed. And we're going to need to see someone from Mindfreak stepping up for that win. As you said, Yummy, Mindfreak probably coming in as the underdogs, although a possibility for them to finish off with a win. Obviously, you're going to take a little bit of hard work from them. Caveman's going crazy, Yummy. I don't know if that's good. He's just killed 2 people. I mean, this is just like Counter-Strike. I'm in my element.
Listen, when you're a caveman like him, all you know is Caveman Smash. And he's been going for the demos, looking for some plays, but Renegades have been playing pretty simply so far. Just keeping it clean, keeping it in their opponent's half. It's a good counter-attack now coming out from Mindfreak.
You know what I noticed about Rocket League casting? I was watching a little bit just to see what people do because I didn't want to come into here completely blind. And it seems like, you know, people when they're casting Rocket League, it's all about sort of context and just having a bit of a chat while the game is playing out and then really only reacting to the big plays.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like most of these plays, these guys, this is, you know, bread and butter. It happens every 10 seconds. So you're not too worried about it. But you're also probably watching too much of me and Jake because we're both essentially color casters, just having a good chat, getting in-depth analysis throughout the game and then really finding those big moments as they happen. But I think the one thing you'll find as well with Rocket League is there's very little dead air. We're constantly talking about something.
Yeah, which I suppose is the nature of the beast with a game like this. I think there's always sort of something happening on the screen, whereas if you're looking at different titles, maybe there are elements where nothing's really happening, a player's standing still or doing this or that, and it's nothing really much to comment on. Not that even right now, I think that there's a whole lot to really comment on, right? Ball's going backwards and forwards, things are happening, but no goals as of yet, and that's an opportunity. Mindfreak on the board early, so bad news for Renegades, Yummy, and like we spoke about at the start of today, Mindfreak, if they get off to a good start, get some of that momentum rolling, maybe they're in with a shot here.
Yeah, Caveman Ben was really lurking there. It's not often you expect the likes of Kami to make a mistake, but Caveman Ben backs himself up, disrespects Kami to some respect, and make sure that goes in. So a good start for Caveman Ben and for Mindfreak, considering I'd say, you know, in this play, even though you'd say not much is happening, Renegades have had like a lot of possession, a lot of control, and a lot of aggression. So you're normally expecting the play to favor them.
Right. Well, like I said, I mean, I've seen Kami playing Apex Legends, so maybe a mistake out from him. Yeah. You say you don't expect to see that too often, but I will beg to differ for the moment. Anyway, let's see if Mindfreak can hang on to this 1-0 lead or if they can compound upon it.
I thought you were excited to watch Kami play. I thought you were happy for him, but now all you're doing is you're going in. You're saying how bad he is.
I'm sure he can take it. He'll be fine. There's a good attempt from Kami, but not going to result in too much for Renegades at the moment. Here's another one, which bounces off the crossbar. That not going to matter. Renegades have numbers all over the place. and so slots it straight in. A few attempts, but look, the thing is, again, I have no idea what I'm talking about when it comes to Rocket League, but I always like to look at teams that are putting themselves in a position to do well. And obviously this transcends across different esports. And if you're putting yourself consistently in a position to make something happen, putting yourself in a good position, even if you're missing some of those opportunities, inevitably you're going to be able to make one stick. And I feel like that was kind of the case there for Renegades.
Yeah, I think your philosophy goes well with CJ's too. He likes to be involved in a play. He doesn't want to sit back and wait for something to happen. Because if it goes wrong and he doesn't try and participate in the play, then he feels a lot worse than if he actually has an effort in that play and he actually tried to make something happen. And as you can see, Renegades putting that to work at the moment as well. Bit of fortune with the first goal, considering Renegades have been hitting the crossbar a lot recently, and that time it kind of stuck inside the net, so they were able to follow it up. Whether in the past it's kind of bounced out a little bit more the last couple of weeks. That's a good shot. That is a really nice shot in the top left corner.
So, Renegades up 2-1 now. Mindfreak have let their foot off the gas a little bit. I've just been watching during, the last minute or so. I feel like the majority of the possession has been in Mindfreak's territory, which is obviously good news for Renegades. Multiple shots on goal from them. And again, it sort of ties back into that analogy of always being in the position to make something happen. And it's like you're playing proactively almost. And I feel like Mindfreak at the moment seem to be forced on the defense. They're forced to play a little bit more reactively rather than making their own moves. Here's an attempt, but it's really not going to result in a whole lot there for Mindfreak.
Yeah, it's also Renegade's game plan. CJ, a massive 50 there. Could be an opportunity here for Siki.
Yes.
He gets that one on, but saved out on the line by Fever.
Close. It actually looked like it was going to go in. 18 seconds here, though, so Mindfreak is going to have to make something happen, and they're going to have to do it pretty quickly. They have a potential shot on goal here, but the cross isn't going to quite work out for them, and Renegade's really doing a good job of just slowing that play down, forcing the ball out of their half, and I'd say we're looking for a victory in game number 1 at the moment for Renegades. Mindfreak still keeping it alive for the moment, and another shot on goal, but blocked by CJ. So for now, nothing too crazy happening. There you go, they've equalized, Yummy.
It's a valiant last effort too, and a great pass in from Requiem. Using the roof made it so difficult for the defenders to read. Mindfreak tie it up and take it into overtime, Jordan.
Do indeed.
It's going to be a tough one, as, again, we're sort of seeing Renegades take control of this, but I feel like this is pretty common for Mindfreak. If the back's against the wall, they're still able to make a few big plays in order to get that goal.
Well, not a lot of time left to work with, I suppose, and they're going to have to make those big plays happen. They're going to have to keep pulling them out. Siki is going to have a shot on goal. I wouldn't say it was necessarily a particularly threatening one there from him. We're heading backwards and forwards across the field for the moment, and just looking to set up some positioning.
I mean, that's exactly right as well. You can kind of see how much Renegades are trying to find that opening, get that pass across, but a lot of the times, because they've been part of defense, the pass across does not have a teammate there. They're passing kind of where they'd expect them to be if they had boost. Unfortunately, maybe the communication in that regard's falling flat too, but now this is a good opportunity for Renegades to build up some pressure. Requiem will get a clear. Up to Caveman Ben. A very nice flip reset. That is absolute textbook, and Caveman stepping up just like we said he had to.
Yeah, big individual play from him right up in the air, straight in the slot. Love to see it. Kami, he tries his best. But it'll be Mindfreak to pick up game 1. So off to a good start. They'll be happy with that.
And it's a very good start too. You know, the counter-attack goals have really been the name of the game for Mindfreak. Of course, they had some good pressure earlier on. But through most of that, Renegades push forward. But they know from their victory in the major that when you're up against Renegades, you can let them push hard. You can wait for the time that they overcommit. And then have one big play. And if Caveman Ben's making shots like that, then it is going to work out for them.
So is Caveman Ben the man, I suppose, for Mindfreak? Like, is he the guy you're watching?
Fever
Or?
is 100% the solid rock of that team and the best player. He's one of I really rate him as one of the best players in the region right now. But Caveman Ben, he has big and little performances. We're looking at him because he needs to have a strong performance. He's had some poor performances that have, I guess stifled Mindfreak a little bit in the past. But when he has shown up big, it's worked out really well for them.
Okay, so the way that I like to quantify a player like that is I feel like almost saying they're a barometer for the team, right? If they're playing well, the team seems to be playing well. That's a nice shot, though, in from Kami. Didn't expect that one at all. And I'm not sure that Mindfreak were expecting that either. It's just sort of a little bit of a sneak in there from CJ and sets Kami up quite nicely.
Yeah, a little bit of confusion in the defense, too, with Requiem hoping that his second touch would have taken out the player, but they actually were ready for it. They waited for it, and a lot of Rocket League is being able to read what your opponent's about to do, or predict, or make a guess even. Sometimes it's simply an educated guess, and it's a 50% chance, and if you go for it, you get a goal like that.
Well, again, Renegades just pushing the ball back into Mindfreak territory, so making sure that they're always on the front foot. There's an attempt, but it will bounce off the crossbar. Good attempt, but still not quite close enough. This one looks dangerous. CJ blocks. He's all good. But now a bit of a counter-attack from Mindfreak. So nice to see some pressure being put back onto Renegades.
A lot of pressure, too. You could kind of see that it was based off a counter-attack. Mindfreak very quickly turning it from defense to the other end, and that's turned Renegades into an awkward position. They still don't have too much boost to deal with it. They have to keep making these saves where it's just on the line, get it up and out of the way, but that still leaves it in a good position for Mindfreak. They will close it out. Another counter-attack success for Mindfreak.
Yeah, and Caveman again, the one to get that one in the slot for Mindfreak. So just coming in as that third man in, essentially. It was a team effort from Mindfreak, but maybe he's the one making the difference at the moment, at least in terms of points on the board.
It's actually insane as well to think that kind of play happened twice in a row, and Renegades haven't been able to respond. They should be able to get some more power coming out of their players too. We've seen a few crossbar hits, the last one coming out from Siki. They'd expect to be getting a few more goals. Because Renegades are the kind of team who like to play aggressive, know that they can get a lot of goals, and even if they let a couple in, they should be able to score more than they concede.
Well, it wasn't necessarily the case in our last round, so maybe Mindfreak is up to the task today. It certainly looks like they are. I think they're giving Renegades a pretty good shout at the moment. Certainly making them work for this.
They certainly, I guess, make it hard for Renegades. I actually think the matchup between Mindfreak and Renegades at this stage is starting to really favor Mindfreak's playstyle. And so for Renegades to win, you're kind of relying on that individual skill to some aspect, or maybe a bit more fortune in terms of their shooting accuracy to actually pan out. And you can't really go into a series like that if you're a team wanting to be number one, like Renegades, and hope that you're going to win every single match when you go into that kind of 50-50 split.
Definitely needs to be a little bit more in the back pocket. So Caveman Ben again is going to try and make a bit of a clearance. It goes quite close to Renegade's goal, but they did have a couple of defenders there. So they'll be happy. They'll be safe for now. Again, the continual offense, though, from Mindfreak here surely has to be a little bit rattling for Renegades. Maybe a bit of a counter-attack from Renegades here as they start to get some good possession in their opponent's half. Deflected away, though, so no harm, no foul for now.
You can kind of see when Renegades have the time, they look a lot better in defense. I actually think that when Mindfreak hold that pressure forward, hold the ball in the Renegades half, it's actually a lot safer for Renegades. It's when they're getting these counterattacks that are deadly, though. That one was almost fortunate for Caveman Ben. Siki now has to make a solo play. Doesn't quite get the flip reset, because that would have made that play huge. Instead, it's going to be Caveman Ben finding the flip reset to get that one away, and Fever will dunk it in.
Yeah, just slipping past the defense. Caveman Ben again. It was Kami that tried to contest him, but he did enough for Fever to get that one through. So 2-1 again. Mindfreak have the advantage, and again, Renegades playing from a deficit. Things are starting to unravel a little bit, I'd say, for Renegades. I mean, this was not my expectation going into this game. I'll say that much.
I mean, Renegades aren't having a bad performance whatsoever, but we really say Caveman Ben stepping up. He's had 2 big flip resets, highly mechanical plays to actually make these goals happen. They're playing a playstyle, a counterattack playstyle that really favors teams against Renegades. They're doing everything right here, and a big miss from CJ might stifle the attack. Siki has a chance there. It won't continue on from this point. It's unlikely to be a goal, especially with the boost being quite low for Renegades.
Yeah, reasonable defense there from Mindfreak, just getting the clearance comfortably. Caveman Benny does miss his little boot. And it'll be back into the possession for Renegades, contested well by Requiem.
That's
Shot on goal
fantastic from Fever. That was really nicely saved because he had Kami looking for the demo. And Renegades are so good in these last moments when they're kind of desperation hours trying to equalize the game.
I mean, we did see Mindfreak come back from a similar scoreline in game number 1, so it's not unreasonable to expect that Renegades might be able to do the same as the ball goes just whizzing past the goalpost. Here's an attempt for Siki, and it's going to go straight in. We're back to 2 apiece. It's going to be overtime again, surely, Yummy, with 3 seconds on the clock.
Oh, the throws! It's game of throws right here, and the person sitting on the Iron Throne at the moment is Siki. That is a devastating one from Mindfreak. Just a missed touch from Fever coming out of the defense. It looked pretty good. And now it looks like another overtime. Though Kami looking for the flip reset himself. Almost gets it past Caveman Ben. Are they going to score in 0 seconds? No, just saved out by Fever. Just holding on.
Well, maybe a little bit too close for comfort for Mindfreak. Here we go into overtime once again between Mindfreak and Renegades. It is Mindfreak that are up 1-0 in this series, but a lot of work to be done because Renegades are not falling over. They're not dying for free, and there you have it. Way too easy in the end. They just come back with a good old 1-2. And what was a 2-1 scoreline for such a long time during that game is going to fall by the wayside quite quickly.
That's pure filth as well by Kami. That angle's very difficult to do, but I think if there's anyone in the region that I'd back that to hit that more often than not, it would be Kami. So, 1 apiece, but both games going to overtime so far. It is actually showing up way closer than we expected.
Well, I mean, I was just going to ask you that. Like, is this kind of competitiveness the expectation for this kind of a matchup?
I mean, the way the games have been playing, no. The way that it's been very counterattack based, where it's been very risky coming out from Renegades, you would expect much more wildly varying scores. But I guess when you come to the team matchup, it is a lot closer, and playstyle matchup, it is a lot closer on paper. It's only surprising that it's actually sort of panning out like that in theory or in practice.
Well, we'll go into another one. 1 apiece so far between the 2 teams. So no one's in a particularly dire situation at the moment. Have been impressed by what I've seen, though, from Mindfreak again. Going back to that whole discussion about maybe them coming in as the underdogs. I think, at least for me, as more of an outsider when it comes to Rocket League, I've always looked at Renegades and the organization as a team that, without knowing who's on the roster, without knowing the scene at all, it seems to be an organization that should have a top-tier roster, right? Yeah,
and Renegades have been the top-tier roster for a long time. They won every single off-season tournament, and even they came second, first, and then third in the regional events. They came third in the major as well. So maybe a bit of a drop-off, but they also won the 2 other biggest tournaments, the RLO Masters, over the last 2 weeks. So they're definitely at the top, but there's so many players and teams nipping at their heels right now. That double demo, brutal from Fever. Let's put Kami in a position where he has to defend just alone.
Yeah, it looks like he's doing a pretty reasonable job of it, and both of his teammates are now back into the game. So despite the fact that there was a timely advantage for Mindfreak in opposition territory, they're not really able to take too much from it. So I think Renegades can be quite happy with that passage of play, the way that it's turned out. Here's a potential shot on goal. Everyone going up, but no one connecting.
You kind of say as well, sort of moving back to that last point, is that Renegades have themselves said that they've been slumping the last few weeks. So you're kind of looking at this and saying, are you out of the slump yet? You kind of think that there's been a few mistakes probably early on in this game and in the last game as well that would lean towards not being out of that one, but I feel like as well, Renegades always play such a risky style that does lend to a few more mistakes from both teams coming out, and it's kind of good for Mindfreak that they're not making mistakes. Renegades usually force them out quite a lot.
All right, well, let me give you another analogy that I always take into different esports titles as well. When I'm watching these games, I'm always sort of thinking, okay, no one's ever going to play a perfect game. Mm-hmm. It's about making sure that you take advantage of your opponent's stakes. And that one, not quite taken advantage of. It doesn't quite go in there from Renegades. A good attempt. Looks like we might be okay for Caveman getting that clearance. Mindfreak, breath-holding moment for them at the very least. But yeah, like, you get my point, right? It's like, okay, well, we're going to make mistakes. They're going to make mistakes. But the question is, who can take advantage of their opponent's mistakes better? Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, the team that does that is going to be the team that will come away with a victory. And it's also, of course, about mitigating your mistakes. But let's be real, no one's ever going to go through a game with 100% perfect accuracy, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, there's people who've tried and end up kind of falling apart because of that. So it's 100% the right philosophy to have. But I also think when it comes to Renegades, they're kind of... They'd prefer to have a game where they play towards perfection or try and play and actually win the match themselves rather than play it safe, maybe make less mistakes, but also create a lot less opportunities and keep the win out of their control. You know, that they play to win. They don't worry about playing not to lose. And for the most part, I think it's favored them. But when they aren't playing their best, it really falls apart.
There's an opening for Siki, and he's just going to say thank you very much for that one. Mindfreak, no defense, or not quite substantial enough of a defense. Requiem, he tried to get there, but completely bamboozled, and Renegades will go up 1-0.
It was a tough read on the corner as well. Requiem thought the bounce was going to come out differently, tried to react at the very last second, but because he was rushed, he accidentally side flipped through it. And it's pretty common when you're, trying to get literal millisecond perfect timings if the ball is heading a different direction or if you have to react that fast.
Indeed. But at the end of the day, it's a point on the board for Renegades, and now that pressure goes back onto Mindfreak, and we saw them answer that quite nicely in game number 1, coming back into overtime and winning there. But since that point, it really has felt like, again, it's more or less been Renegades' game. Caveman might have had an attempt there, but the defense is solid from Renegades, and Siki's expecting that bounce back. Now he's on the counter-attack, and where's the defense from Mindfreak? This will be a cross and an attempt. Can they make it work? Not quite. CJ puts it into the crossbar. Kami will have an attempt as well, but he's forced away. So that was, again, dangerous times for Mindfreak, and it goes back into what I was talking about, where it really has felt like Renegades' game from, that point where Mindfreak turned it around. Now that Renegades are back on top, it's felt like their game since then. I
also would have to point out that I feel like at this point in time, CJ's breaking world records in terms of number of crossbar hits and another 0-second goal. How does this keep happening? I thought no chance. The Fever gets this down to Caveman Ben, fakes out one, flicks out the last, and from the dying moments of the game, Mindfreak bring it to overtime.
I can't believe what I'm watching right now, Yummy. Oh, well, back into another overtime here, and we'll see if Renegades can salvage this one. The interesting thing to note is that both times we have gone to overtime, it's been the team that has brought it back from the deficit that's actually won in the overtime. Now, in this instance, that's Mindfreak. We'll see if they're going to be able to do it again, and they're straight back into their opponent's territory. Caveman Ben taking that ball right up to the goalpost. But a clearance from Renegades, and we're back to safe territory for them.
Listen, if you're correct on this one, if Mindfreak win this overtime, I'm going to call you the scriptwriter, the prophecy maker, because it's an interesting stat to pull out, but also sometimes a bit meaningless. So if it ends up being true, then you're a bit of a god here. So,
well, look, Yummy, they don't call me the #1 Rocket League analyst in Oceania for no reason. So just hold your horses here.
I mean, #1 in all of the hearts as well. Can't wait to see you at the World Championship, but
might not be too far away.
Not too far away from these guys too. I mean, these two are the teams that are fighting for it. Mindfreak technically #1 in terms of points towards going to Worlds because they won the major. We're a long way behind, but made up all those points and more by winning the most important tournament of the season. And right now, it's a counterattack coming out from CJ. He's probably a bit upset that he hit the crossbar earlier. Place that he's hit many, many, many times, as I was saying, potentially a world record holder at this point for crossbar hits.
Well, maybe he can make amends for that here into the overtime. Siki's going to have a chance. That'll just bounce clear, though. This is starting to really feel like the regulation time as well, Yummy. We're just going backwards and forwards, up and down the field. Everyone's sort of jostling for position, but there's not really been any substantial shots on goal.
I think as well, what's nice about this tournament, that could have been a goal from Caveman Ben, went pretty wide. He should have probably been able to score that. But the nice thing about this tournament, it's not an international qualifier. It's not the biggest event on the calendar, which means we get to kind of see these overtimes where they play their best still. They don't get super nervous and super scrappy or super defensive and hold out for a long time. Though this has been going for 2 minutes 20. But as you can tell from the scoreline, it's kind of been like that all game. Very defensive all round. Maybe Renegades trying to just loosen up, play a bit more defensive, because a lot of their goals earlier on were overcommitment. So here it should be a goal. Caveman Ben, no, it's actually Fever that slots that in the top right.
Well, Yummy, like I said, there's a reason they call me the #1 Rocket League analyst in Oceania, because again, it's Mindfreak that have come back from that deficit. They're going to pick up the point, and they're going to win game number 3. So they go up 2-1, not only in that game, but in the series as well. And really just keeping this one super close, super competitive, enjoyable game to watch, even despite the low score.
Yeah, I mean, also the fact that every single time they score on 0 seconds, I don't know how this continues to be the case. If it happens again, then I will have to start thinking about whether this is the best series of the season. It's been really crazy so far, though. Again, we look at Renegades and we say that they've had these opportunities that they're missing. Mindfreak, more so, are sinking as much as possible. You kind of just saw there the side post from Kami later on. There was a crossbar from CJ. But Mindfreak are sinking 90% of them. The only one I could say they missed is that Caveman Ben, where he had most of the net and went very far to the right.
Well, fair bit of work to do again now for Renegades, who maybe they kind of enjoy that sort of comeback situation. It seems like they do, at least. Because they've really been letting Mindfreak get away with a couple of sneaky ones. But here we go into game number 4. And Renegades on the offensive early on in the piece. Just trying to get some aggression, maybe some pressure onto the Mindfreak lads.
Can't still see there, even with Kami pushing forward. It's crept almost too far forward, and every single time Mindfreak have a clear, they end up getting it past the defense. So all they need to do is hold a passing player. Siki, though, is in a good position, gets the crossbar. Not shot on, though. Kami almost dunks it in. More shots coming out from CJ. This is the play the Renegades like, but they have backed off pretty far here and should give Mindfreak the room to get out.
Mindfreak not giving Renegades too much room to have a scoring opportunity just yet, though. Defense has been good so far from both teams, I'd say. And here's an attempted clear from Fever, which is going to be blocked by Renegades. Now that ball's looking in a dangerous position, but well dealt with for now by Mindfreak as it goes bouncing back down to the halfway point.
Well, these shots have been pretty solid from Renegades, but they're just that. They're shots. Need to see a few more passing plays or demos or boost steals just to open that net up a little bit more. Get it into a position where those shots are actually going to even have a chance of leading to a goal. That's a great passing play. It's got straight past, but Fever just gets the tip of his car to it. And Mindfreak hold on again, though. That's an interesting dunk that comes out from Siki. It actually baits out CJ by a mile. And now Mindfreak have the counter-attack themselves. Renegades haven't really been able to execute. I actually think, despite it being in Renegades' control for a lot of this game so far, that Mindfreak have looked the more deadly.
Yeah, there was a ball just passing tantalizingly close in front of the Renegades goal there as well, but no one from Mindfreak able to really take advantage of it. Here's one maybe for Renegades, but again, no one in position to really dive in there and get that scoring opportunity converted. So Mindfreak will survive.
Kami was really looking for the boost over the ball as well, and that put him too far forward. It's been a little bit of the story of Renegades so far, just playing too aggressive.
Mindfreak struggling to get this one out of their half for the moment. At the very least, that's good from Renegades to just continue to keep that pressure building on Mindfreak. But now that they have got it back into Renegades' half, some of the pressure is relieved. Caveman Ben. No, that was Fever. Had an attempt, but there was a couple of defenders available in the goal, so not a big deal for Renegades at this point.
Continues being a low-scoring affair, too. Stays at 0 apiece. Neither team taking too many risks at this point, and even though Renegades were pushing too hard earlier, they're also running a lot more back to defense. They feel a bit more a team of extremes at the moment. So that big demo, a double demo between Requiem and Siki, will get followed up by another aerial demo coming out. Now it's in Mindfreak's favor, but that's a great touch from CJ over to Kami, getting that one quickly out with a 1-2.
Once again, Mindfreak's going to make the clear. Caveman Ben tries to get across in towards the goalpost, but it's blocked again by Renegades. Here's a potential chance for Renegades as they start to punt that ball back in the direction of Mindfreak's goalpost. Kami comes in for it, but it's cleared by Mindfreak. Requiem goes up for the challenge. Won't get too much done. There's Caveman Ben out of the picture for a moment. See what Renegades can make do from it. Not much. Caveman Ben straight back into the swing of things.
Some dangerous players too, with Renegades being low on boost throughout a lot of this play. Siki, he does play very forward, very aggressive on that one. More demos coming out from CJ. That's dangerous play from Siki, but he makes it work. It's kind of a chance to go for a goal, but won't pan out for now as Renegades, again, putting that risk factor in. Making sure to really play to try and get this goal, and maybe opening up their own defense at the same time if Mindfreak can get a handle of it. But Renegades are doing it well. They're keeping measured pace in front of the ball. And CJ crossbar again.
Yeah, this is still looking threatening, though. That's what I was going to say. I think the last passage of play largely has been more threatening from Renegades than it has been from Mindfreak. Think about how many shots on goal we just had there, but not really taking advantage of any of them. So on one hand, it's good to be getting those attempts, to be getting those opportunities, but to be not converting them leaves a little bit to be desired. Heading towards overtime once again, Yummy.
I don't think it could have gone either way, really. It's just been overtime, back and forth, back and forth. So there wasn't a last-second equalizer here, Elvish guys. So if you want to keep your prophecy going, who wins this OT?
Well, we're just going to be here forever. It's just never, when no one's ever going to score a goal based on what we saw in regulation.
A bold claim. A bold claim, I would say. I doubt that that's going to happen. So maybe maybe that analyst title's starting to flow away from you. That's a good pass, but a shot not on target. Should be another pass here from CJ, and it is. That's another shot off target. I think Requiem would have had the save if it was on, but even still, you're seeing the accuracy kind of dying down throughout the entire series for Renegades.
Now, I do want to say, like, if I had to make a guess here as to who's going to come away with this one, I'm probably leaning towards Renegades just a little bit because, again, it has felt more threatening from them. I can't really remember the last time that I looked at a shot on goal from Mindfreak and thought, oh, that's actually in with a chance. Whereas for Renegades, it's felt like it's continually been that case, although some of them have been off the mark, some of them have been blocked from Mindfreak, so Mindfreak are doing a great job on the defense, don't get me wrong, but Renegades have really felt like they've been the one that's putting themselves in the right positions.
I think the favor here for Mindfreak and for Mindfreak fans is they're still a team that kind of have one big play, and that's all they really need. It's just whether they're given that opportunity now with all this pressure coming in, with the ball continually kept in their half, and even there with Requiem having to use a lot of boost just to stay behind it. Although that miss from Kami could be devastating. CJ, they have to dive away to keep it from being in the attack. Another miss comes out from Renegades. So even though they're having some good plays in the attack, sometimes it's just breaking down a little bit in the midfield.
A lot of that midfield contest going on at the moment. Renegades have maybe a couple of shots on goal to worry about here. Ball's gone a little too high, though, for Mindfreak. And They can't get that cross exactly the way that they want it to be. So the clearance is achieved for Renegades. Here's Siki, tries to set something up, but it'll be blocked. Same for Requiem. And now CJ in possession. Looks for an open ball. Won't find too much, but again, Renegades just threatening. If they get one here, surely. CJ not able to slot it this time. Goes a little bit too high.
Low boost here for Mindfreak as well. That's the danger. We do just see two players get boost right on that line, just as we say it. It helps them get out, but even still, we'll need to see them get back at the same time. Requiem has to push forward just to get boost, to keep them in a chance to get out of here, and CJ almost dribbled it over the top of him because of that late return. Kami completely off his line there, and all of these attacks, all of these plays, they kind of rely on that third man or the second man coming in to make a big shot. And every single time it's just getting misread. Renegade's just feeling off tonight.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. Again, though, you got to think about this in the context of how many shots have Mindfreak actually had. And there's one that goes in. It's so soft, really, from Kami, but it's going to be enough to get Renegades back on the board, and they're going to equalize things at 2 apiece.
It was the softness that really made it work. You saw the defenders diving for what they expected would be an absolute banger from Kami. He ends up putting it softly and in a very nice spot. So a couple of mistakes I've called Kami out on. I'm always going to call out CJ for all his mistakes because he's CJ, and also because he makes so many mistakes. But Kami, it's good to see him get a nice one to make up for, one of his misses earlier.
Look, I don't know how much you really read into statistics and post-game whatever in Rocket League, but just having a look at the shots on goal there was like 15 for Renegades and 2 for Mindfreak. Now, I don't know how reliable those stats necessarily are, but I do think that actually is quite representative of what we saw in that game.
It is. I mean, you don't keep somebody to 2 shots without keeping them essentially out of your half. And, you are the best analyst in OCE, although that game didn't go on forever, unlike your prediction.
Well, I did sort of put a sneaky Renegades prediction in there as well, so I'll take credit for that one too. Thank you.
That's all right, B1.
If we're going to follow that same trajectory, that same train of thought, though, then theoretically this should be Mindfreak, because I'm starting to see a bit of a pattern emerge here.
You're human computer at this point.
I am. Yeah,
it's just ones and zeros, but not a good start for you there.
No. It is a good start, Yummy, because what you fail to remember is Mindfreak are the comeback gods.
Also a Renegades, though, because they did that in game 2 as well.
Yeah, but it's now Mindfreak's turn to win.
It's true. They have to make sure that they don't concede a 2-goal lead, because it's always had to be within 1 goal that they made the comeback late in the game. And, the early lead, the early first blood for Renegades as well, will put us into a different situation in terms of watching this series, because we haven't actually seen what it looks like when Renegades can be in a comfortable and confident position just yet.
This might be one. Is that going to go straight in? No. Fever gets the defense. CJ tries to put him off his line. No way. They've got another one, Yummy. It's the first time in this series that a team has a 2-point lead. And that might be, as you say, bad news now for Mindfreak.
That's really bad news as well if Renegades take the game, because that would put them on match point. It would put them on a 3-2. And I think the way the series has been going in terms of the back and forth, it's like getting a break point in tennis. You're thinking that Mindfreak would have the serve, that they'd have that chance to, I guess, adapt. And that's often, I feel like, what happens a lot in those back and forth series. You kind of have a team lose and they're like, okay, what do we need to do to win that next one? And they make the adaptation, kind of throw it off, and then the other team sort of switches things up a little bit. But at the moment, Renegades have really wrested control of the series.
What do you think the mindset would be or should be for Renegades now that they are at that 2-point lead? Do they go back to a bit more of a passive kind of a style, or are they still looking for those goals? I mean, based on that right there, it seems like they're still quite happy to be quite proactive and look for any opportunity possible rather than going into their shell.
You've seen the danger of playing very defensively throughout this series. When it gets to that 20-second mark and you've got a 1-goal lead, you often try and hold on to it. And in doing so, you're too scared to challenge. You're too scared to hold the ball in a position where, say, your opponents can only get 2 shots in a game. And Renegades, I think, know that. They know they've handled this so well. And I think they're actually probably the best team, in my opinion, of holding on that aggression when they've got a big lead. Even if, you know, it's not going to get them another goal, they'll push it up and make sure to stay in that defensive half of their opponents.
Yeah, it didn't look like a bad setup there from CJ, but doesn't quite work out for him. A nice defense from him, though. And Renegades are going to be able to clear the ball out of their territory. Open goal. Requiem is going to be able to get the bounce off of the backboard. And so we're back up into the air for the challengers. Kami lets that one drop right on the floor. And so we'll have a bit of a reset period here. But once again, it's Renegades that are on the offense. Cross is in. It's not a particularly amazing one, though. And so Mindfreak will be able to regain possession of the ball, force things back into Renegades' territory.
I really feel like the problem here for Mindfreak, they've still got some counterattacks. We're still seeing the same mistakes out from Renegades sometimes, but obviously Renegades are pinning them in better, but also Mindfreak are not getting these defensive passes out for the counterattack. It slows it down. It gives Renegades more time to get back, and it makes it so much less threatening. If at one point in time Mindfreak can just push a player forward, a little bit risky, to get into that pass position, to make the counterattack quickly, I will feel like they'll start finding those goals once again.
Well, finding goals hasn't necessarily been so easy in this series thus far. Renegades have definitely been more threatening, particularly toward the late stages of this series. I mean, the more recent games have felt like they've been largely in the control of Renegades, and maybe Mindfreak have taken the foot off the gas a little bit more so. Caveman tries to go for a shot on goal there, but really not much success to be had. Kami is going to get the clearance for Renegades again.
Even still, this is, as you look at it, revenge for Renegades. Though, maybe speaking too soon, Fever actually gets this first goal on the board for Mindfreak, and it's just a boomer shot. CJ, maybe not expecting that one to just be straight on net. Probably more covering the backboard there. And now with 45 seconds left to go, your prophecy could still come true in terms of Mindfreak making that last second comeback.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a possibility now where it otherwise might not have been with a 2-point deficit. Still, they've got work to do with only 30 seconds on the clock. Something pretty special has to happen here for Mindfreak, and this will be a good attempt from them. The cross is in, but it's deflected away from CJ. And so Renegades will survive for the moment. Still 20 seconds left to play with for Mindfreak, but so clock is ticking.
This is that danger zone. This is that time that Mindfreak really push forward for that goal. You can kind of see Requiem there. The ball got away from him. The pinch too much. It could have been a goal to secure the deal for Renegades. Now is the chance. Requiem and Caveman Ben both commit, and Siki shuts it down early. So very unlikely at this point for it to be that 0-second goal. The Fever and Caveman Ben have done brilliant work to get it forward. CJ blocks it, but it bounces up. It's still a chance for Mindfreak. They've still got the opportunity. They're still in the attack. And now it's right in front of net, but just touches the ground. Renegades will get the lead.
Oh, man, that was too close for comfort. First time, though, that we haven't gone to the overtime. And as you say, Renegades get the lead. They're now up 3-2. And danger territory for Mindfreak. Again, like I said, maybe taking the foot off the gas a little bit for them, not being able to make that magic comeback happen this time. And is that the straw that breaks the camel's back for them?
Oh, it's tough, right? Because at this point in time, they're not getting the opportunities. They're not playing the way they were before. And part of that is just Renegades playing that little bit better, a little bit more controlling, keeping Mindfreak pinned more often. And sometimes that makes you more desperate, makes you more likely to just go for that hit instead of slowing it down and getting the pass out, or getting that dribble out of defense that was working so well for Mindfreak, not only earlier, but in the major as well.
Well, last chance now for Mindfreak, so they're going to need to pick this one up. And if they are the comeback kings, it's time for said comeback. That is a really soft goal to let slip in.
And CJ not hitting the crossbar this time. Very nice.
Very nice.
He's always usually better as the series goes on in terms of his shot accuracy. So an early one for Renegades, and Mindfreak will not be happy at this point. Again, this is kind of the first time, as far as I'm aware, that Mindfreak and Renegades have versed each other since that major. So a direct head-to-head matchup between these two teams. And again, revenge opportunity for Renegades.
And who could ask for a better opportunity for revenge in such a prestigious tournament, Yummy? There's a lot on the line for them.
Yeah, $500.
So
well, thanks to the community too. I mean, I know you probably didn't put anything in.
I am putting in my what day is it? Wednesday evening.
Mm-hmm. Your expertise as well.
Yeah. I just want to say that's worth a few $100s to me normally.
Yeah. So instead of playing World of Tanks and getting however many silver bars to upgrade your car, you're looking at cars in the game.
We recently I have been spending some time watching The Boys with my girlfriend. I don't know if you've seen that, but
well, the thing I'm surprised by isn't the fact that you're watching The Boys; it's that you have a girlfriend, Elvish Guy. Very well.
I know. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. 3 years nearly, by the way. Just saying. So it's not exactly new.
I mean, I obviously knew, but you know, a bit of banter doesn't hurt.
BM. All right, I see how it is. It's fine. I understand. You're a bit jealous. Number one Rocket League analyst in Oceania comes right in, predicts everything correctly, and maybe my prediction might be that Renegades is going to win the series from here, Yummy, because there is another good one from them.
I like you going for the bold prediction there, that Renegades are going to win the series. Odd match point, 2 goals in the lead. I think you might be right. I have a good feeling about that one. Not just because of the 2-goal lead, but also the way that Renegades have been playing the last probably 3 games has been just so much more what we expect of a Renegade series. And to me, I kind of look further beyond the league, beyond this tournament, and kind of ask, you know, why are Renegades slow to start? Why aren't they able to play this controlling from the beginning of a game, from the beginning of a series?
Well, I guess that's a very good question, isn't it? Because as you've said, and it seems to be ringing true here, they have gotten better as this series has progressed. And it might not necessarily be a bad thing, Yummy. It might be an argument you can make to say, like, okay, they're very good at adapting. They're very good at dealing with what their opponent's doing and sort of working their way into the series. But I guess you do have to ask that question if they were to come up against a better team, or, you know, if they're playing internationally, does that adaptation maybe come too late? In this instance, obviously, it's looking like it's come at the right time, and it looks like they're going to be able to get this over the line, but it's definitely a question mark.
It's looked, I guess, rough for Mindfreak, and maybe not great signs in terms of how they're looking at this point in the season, but at least for them, they still have, even if they lose this, a good run in the gauntlet that they can make.
Oh, wow.
Wow, dude. Hey, CJ. He's finally stepping up here. This is the kind of goals we expect him to be able to make. That's a absolutely delicate first touch to be able to hit the backboard and follow it up. And now all of a sudden, the biggest lead of the series comes out in the final game.
Yeah, it's absolute dominance. I think at this point, Renegades are looking to outscore the rest of the series in this game for themselves. And they're certainly on track to doing that. Another couple of minutes left in it, and they're already up to 4-0. Just got to make sure that they continue to put Mindfreak under the pump, you know, maybe make that statement, okay? Say, like, well, you had us pretty close in game 1, 2, and 3, but now things are ours to control. And that one looks like it's a closey as well, but not quite going to go in this time from Renegades, despite your excitement, Yummy.
I wasn't really excited. I was baffled. The first shot, you kind of saw why Kami wasn't going to hit it. He tried to slow it down with a backflip shot. And then you're like, it's fine because he's backflipped, so he's still in the same position. He can get that follow-up shot. He went wide on that second one. That's super surprising and almost saddening to see from what many would say is still the best team in OCE, though maybe not by a large margin. You'd expect them to be able to get those, especially when Siki is then following it up with angles like that.
Yeah, that was pretty dirty. I don't want to say easy because I really don't know what I'm talking about, but to me, it just looks like it's kind of become a little bit too easy for Renegades. I don't know if you'd echo those thoughts.
Well, in that play, they're just looking so much more confident with so many goals in the lead that they're going for things that maybe they weren't earlier on. They're taking some risks. Like Siki stayed on the backboard, which obviously to get from your opponent's backboard all the way back to your own half, you have to kind of jump off. You have to go for a long walk on the beach. Maybe that's how you got a girlfriend, but
once or twice did that.
It takes a long time.
If anyone wants any tips, by the way, I'm happy to help out. Anyways,
well, I do know
Renegade.
Fernando in chat wanted to know what a girlfriend was in the first place. So
Oh well,
maybe
time for the birds and the bees
explanation
talk, maybe. Yeah, next show, Yummy Cheese Man and Elfish Guy After Dark. We'll get into that one right after this at about midnight tonight. Stay tuned to Yummy Cheese Man's Twitch channel.
there. It'll be an interesting one. Too many kids in Rocket League as well. Very, very young audience. But most of all the Renegades guys, they're over 18. They're pretty adult. They've been around the block a few times as well in terms of just straight experience internationally. They are well ahead, and you can kind of see how they were able to leverage that to their advantage in this series and take it 4-2 overall.
Yeah, definitely a solid sort of performance from Renegades. I thought there was something in there for Mindfreak, and I was sort of almost backing them after seeing those first few games because they really did look like they were giving Renegades a run for their money. But once that adaptation or that consistency sort of comes to bear for Renegades, it's just a little bit too much, unfortunately, for Mindfreak to deal with. So an enjoyable series for my first cast back into Rocket League.
Yeah, it was great. It started off far more interesting than it ended, of course, but that's kind of down to Renegades and how they ended up playing. Now, in terms of interesting series, though, I think the real exciting one is coming up next. Ground Zero versus Cringe Society. Not only a battle for potential top seed, but also some interesting movement in the OCE scene. So stay tuned, everyone. We're going to be right back in just a few moments as we get that match.